Good afternoon. This is All India Radio and I'm Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Modi to hold talks with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani and top leaders of Cyprus and Greece in New York tonight. President Ram Nath Kovind says Gandhiji's ideas still relevant to deal with religious, racial and linguistic differences. Supreme Court directs all parties to Ayodhya land dispute case to wind up arguments by 18th October. Israeli President asks Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to try to form new government within a month after a fractured mandate. And in sports, Parupalli Kashyap enters Korea Open Badminton quarterfinals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will meet Iranian President Hassan Rouhani in New York tonight. He will also have meetings with Cyprus President Nikos Anastasiadis and Prime Minister of Greece Kyriakos Mitsotakis. On the sidelines of the 74th UNGA session, the Prime Minister met 14 leaders from the Caribbean islands at the first CARICOM India Summit. The 14 leaders from Caribbean Community and Common Market CARICOM, including Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, attended the meeting. The Prime Minister said the meeting was aimed at deepening cooperation to tackle issues like climate change.
हमारे देश क्लाइमेट चेंज और सामाजिक आर्थिक विकास से जुड़ी चुनौतियों जैसे गरीबी उन्मूलन आदि का सामना कर रहे हैं। आज की बैठक का फोकस कैरिकॉम देशों के साथ भारत की भागीदारी को अतीत के अनुभव, वर्तमान की आवश्यकताओं और भविष्य की आकांक्षाओं के अनुसार एनर्जाइज करना।
The Prime Minister also held fruitful discussions with his counterparts from Belgium, New Zealand, Armenia and Estonia. These high-level meetings are part of India's move to create a common ground on global issues. Briefing the media, MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar said Mr. Modi's meeting with New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern was the first after Christchurch attacks.
Prime Minister thanked the Prime Minister of New Zealand for her presence yesterday at Gandhi at 150 event at the UN. This was the first meeting since the Christchurch terrorist attack and Prime Minister conveyed his sincere condolences. And there were some discussions on the regional issues, especially in the context of counter-terrorism.
Meanwhile, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held talks with his counterparts from G4 nations. The leaders sought early and comprehensive reform of the UN. They were hopeful reforms will be ushered soon despite constraints in the current session. The External Affairs Minister also met leaders from various countries, including China, Kuwait and Belarus. He also held talks with the leaders from the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. Talking to media at Council Foreign Relations Programme on Foreign Relations, S. Jaishankar targeted Pakistan, saying nowhere in the world a country patronizes terrorism in the form of industry like Pakistan does.
You have terrorism in different parts of the world, but there's no part of the world where a country uses it consciously, deliberately as a large-scale industry against its neighbor. So for me, the issue is not do you talk to them, don't you talk to them. Of course, everybody wants to talk to the neighbor. The issue is how do I talk to a country that is conducting terrorism and which follows policy of implausible deniability.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has invited top business leaders from various fields to come and invest in India and be a part of country's growth story. He was addressing a CEO's roundtable in New York yesterday. The CEOs evinced keen interest in making investment in India. Briefing media persons in New York, Secretary, Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Guru Prasad Mohapatra said major players from IT, retail, food processing, power, aerospace and defense sector took part in the meeting. 15 CEOs presented their plans of investment, while 7 companies, including IBM, Intel, Walmart, Coca-Cola, Huawei, shared their ideas with the Prime Minister. Mr. Mohapatra said there was a lot of optimism and they spoke of significant investment plans in India.
On the whole, it's a very useful exchange, and we could see a lot of interest among the companies that were present. In fact, many of them have a very significant Indian presence, and it is expected in times to come with the various policy initiatives of the Government of India, the presence of these companies in India is only going to grow.
President Ram Nath Kovind has said that Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of truth and non-violence is useful for the whole world. He said Gandhiji's ideas are still relevant to deal with differences on the basis of religion, race and language. Mr. Kovind was speaking after inaugurating a national seminar on spirituality for human and social development in New Delhi today.
विश्व में शांति एवं अहिंसा स्थापित करने के लिए आध्यात्मिक मूल्यों का प्रचार प्रसार बहुत अनिवार्य है। इस तथ्य को महात्मा गांधी जी ने गहराई से समझा था। उन्होंने ये भी स्पष्ट किया था कि सत्य, अहिंसा, शांति और सद्भाव पर आधारित व्यवस्थाओं के बल पर ही मानव समाज का उत्थान संभव है। गांधी जी के ये विचार आज भी प्रासंगिक हैं और सदैव प्रासंगिक रहेंगे।
Stating that more than 65% of the country's population are youth, the President said there is a need to connect them with the thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi. Expressing concern over climate change, he called it the biggest challenge for humanity.
आज केवल हमारे देश में ही नहीं बल्कि पूरे विश्व में पर्यावरण के हित में चल रहे अनेक प्रयास गांधी जी के विचारों को यथार्थ रूप देते हैं। पर्यावरण एवं जल संरक्षण के लिए गांधी जी का आग्रह उनकी दूरदर्शिता को रेखांकित करता है। ऐसी दूरदर्शिता अध्यात्म के स्रोत से ही निकलती है और इसीलिए हर युग में प्रासंगिक रहती है।
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called upon each citizen to contribute to preserving the historical places in the country. He was speaking after felicitating renowned archaeologist and historian Dr. G.B. Deglurkar with Punya Bhushan Puraskar at a function in Pune today. Mr. Naidu asserted that preservation of artifacts and monuments is not only the duty of the government but also the citizens. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts and News on AIR app.
मम्मी, मैं तैयार हूँ बाजार जाने के लिए। आपने कपड़े का थैला रख लिया है ना? प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है
इस 2 अक्टूबर को हम भारत को सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक, क्या इससे देश को मुक्ति दिला सकते हैं? मैं तो सभी दुकानदारों से आग्रह करूंगा, एक बोर्ड ये भी लगा दीजिए, कृपा करके हमसे प्लास्टिक की थैली की अपेक्षा न करें। आप अपने घर से कपड़े का थैला लेकर के आइए। जूट के थैले हो, कपड़े के थैले हो, मेरे किसान को मदद करेगा। गरीब विधवा माँ जो सिलाई करती होगी उसको मदद करेगा। यानी हमारा एक छोटा सा निर्णय भी सामान्य मानवी के जीवन में किस प्रकार से बदलाव ला सकता है, हम उस दिशा में काम करें।
क्या आपने रखा है अपने साथ कपड़े का थैला?
Welcome back. The Supreme Court has asked all the parties to the Ayodhya land dispute case to specify the time frame for completing arguments, saying that there will not be any extra day after 18th October. The court asked the Muslim parties to wrap up their arguments on the Archaeological Survey of India ASI report during the course of the day. It said there are holidays in October and only one advocate of the 4 Hindu parties will be allowed to give rejoinder arguments. Meanwhile, the Muslim parties today took a U-turn on questioning the authorship of the 2003 report of the ASI and apologized to the Supreme Court for wasting its time. A 5-judge constitution bench headed by Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi was told by senior advocate Rajiv Dhawan that they do not wish to question authorship of the summary of the ASI report. On Wednesday, senior advocate Meenakshi Arora, also representing the Muslim parties, had questioned the ASI report, saying every chapter is attributed to an author, but the summary has not been attributed to anyone. The Enforcement Directorate ED today told the Delhi High Court that Robert Vadra's custodial interrogation was needed as the money chain was allegedly directly linked to him. The agency further contended before Justice Chandrasekhar that Vadra was not cooperating with the investigation in a money laundering case against him. Denying the claims by the ED, Vadra's lawyer said his client has cooperated in the investigation by appearing before the agency whenever he was summoned. After hearing the brief arguments, the court listed the matter for final arguments on the 5th of November. The court was hearing the ED's plea challenging the anticipatory bail granted to Vadra by a trial court. He is facing allegations of money laundering in the purchase of a London-based property worth over 17 crore rupees. In Maharashtra, the death toll in various incidents due to incessant rain in Pune city and its adjoining areas has risen to 11. At least 5 people died after a wall caved in Shankarnagar area of the city. 4 persons are still reported missing. Pune and its adjoining areas witnessed heavy rainfall in the last 48 hours. The affected areas are limping back to normalcy. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval reached Srinagar yesterday on his second visit to Kashmir after the revocation of Jammu and Kashmir's special status under Article 370. Official sources said that during his stay, Doval will review the security situation in hinterland and along the LOC besides taking stock of development-related activities in J&K. Mr. Doval had camped for 11 days in Kashmir during his first visit to the state. Meanwhile, most of the areas remain restriction-free in Kashmir Valley, with no untoward incident reported from any part of the valley so far. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today wished Congress leader and his predecessor, Dr. Manmohan Singh, on his birthday. Mr. Modi prayed for his long and healthy life. Dr. Manmohan Singh, a Rajya Sabha member and one of the Congress's top leaders, turned 87 today. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio.
बेटा, कहाँ चले?
मैं चला पार्क। वहाँ होंगे कॉलोनी के सारे बच्चे। हम सब मिलकर चलाएंगे स्वच्छता का अभियान। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है
हम 2 अक्टूबर से पहले लगभग 2 सप्ताह तक देश भर में स्वच्छता ही सेवा अभियान चलाते हैं। इस बार यह 11 सितंबर से शुरू होगा। इस दौरान हम अपने अपने घरों से बाहर निकलकर श्रमदान के जरिए महात्मा गांधी को कार्यांजलि देंगे। पूरे देश में प्लास्टिक के खिलाफ एक नए जन आंदोलन की नींव रखेंगे।
स्वच्छता का ये अभियान चलाना है और सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक को हटाना है।
In international news, Israel's president has asked Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to try to form a new government after last week's deadlocked elections. President Reuven Rivlin yesterday mandated the task to Netanyahu after his initial attempts at negotiating a unity deal between the Prime Minister and his main challenger, Benny Gantz, failed. Netanyahu will now have 28 days to form a government with a possible 2-week extension. If all attempts fail, Rivlin can assign the task to someone else. Netanyahu received the endorsement of 55 members of parliament for the post of Prime Minister after the election, while Gantz received 54. Abortion has been decriminalized across Australia after the last remaining state, New South Wales, where it was illegal, voted to reform its laws. The bill passed today overturns a 119-year-old law which had been criticized by opponents as archaic. The law makes it legal for terminations to be conducted up to 22 weeks into a woman's pregnancy or later if 2 doctors agree. In badminton, ace shuttler Parupalli Kashyap today advanced to the Korea Open men's singles quarterfinal after a 3-game triumph over Malaysia's Darren Liu in South Korean city of Incheon. Kashyap prevailed in a contest that lasted 56 minutes. The 2014 Commonwealth Games gold medalist is the lone Indian left in the fray. In women's cricket, India will play South Africa in the second T20 match at Surat today. The game will begin at 7 this evening. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Modi to hold talks with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani and top leaders of Cyprus and Greece in New York tonight. President Ram Nath Kovind says Gandhiji's ideas still relevant to deal with religious, racial and linguistic differences. Supreme Court directs all parties to Ayodhya land dispute case to wind up arguments by 18th October. Israeli President asks Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to try to form new government within a month after a fractured mandate. And in sports, Parupalli Kashyap enters Korea Open Badminton quarterfinals. And with that, we end the midday news.